In The Art of Being, Hazrat Inayat Khan says that the Sufi flies with wings on his heart. He's talking about the freedom of being free from the nafs, from the ego, from your misconceptions. You'll notice that I used the pronoun he. Sufi flies with wings on his heart, very specifically. I'll talk about that later because that's very important. But first, let's talk about the wings on the heart. One of the Sufi symbols that we use these days is a heart with wings. Hazrat Inayat Khan says that the wings represent independence and indifference. Those are two kind of harsh sounding things. But we're not meaning independence like an individual. And we're not meaning indifference like being indifferent to the people around you, to suffering, to the problems on the earth and things like that. We are talking about independence from your craziness, independence from what they call the nafs, free from your ego, where you, the master of yourself, is able to live as a free being as the ego and emotions drift by, but independent of them. That these things don't define you. You are something awake underneath the craziness of the ego and the craziness of life. And I mean, everything, the craziness of society, right? And indifference then fits right in with the independence because you're indifferent to your own suffering. And that's what makes you free from suffering. It's not like suffering just quits, but with this highly evolved state of indifference, you are able to maintain your equilibrium no matter what comes up. And this is one of the main teachings in Sufism. It's one of the reasons Sufi practices will be so much about the breath, controlling the breath in and out in various ways. And being the master of your breath helps you then become the master of yourself. So it's one of the best ways to practice independence and indifference. As you breathe in, the entity of you that is breathing in is independent of the action of breathing. You're the one that decides. You decide when the breath comes in, when the breath goes out. You're being the master as you do your Sufi practices. Breath is such a perfect example because throughout the day when we're not paying attention, it just goes by itself. So do emotions. Throughout the day when we're not paying attention, these things just go by themselves. Throughout the day when we're not paying attention to our thoughts, it just goes by itself. There's other things like your heartbeat that just always goes by itself. We have a little bit of control. We can calm down and calm the heart. Or we can, go for a jog and speed it right up. So we're actually the awake you inside, this Sufi heart that we're talking about, is independent of these things as they go. This awake you is actually independent of life and death as well. Indifference simply means that you know it. You know and are aware of your independence from the things that don't matter. So, independence and indifference. This is a way deeper and more useful teaching than saying the hearts are love and joy. Love and joy are both, emotions and things that happen to you in the moment. They equally to pain and suffering. Love and joy are things that you, the awake you, is independent of, and that the awake you can be indifferent to. You're like, wait a minute, I don't want to be indifferent to joy and happiness. Well, yes, you do, because it's actually more poignant to feel your joy from a place where you're awake, to feel the happiness from a place where you're awake, because the awake you knows that the joy will rise and then drift away. The happiness will come and then it'll go. And so because you know that, you can really enjoy it more. Same thing with pain and suffering. Pain comes, you know it's going to go. It's harder, way harder to deal with than joy, yes? But the awake you knows that equilibrium will come back. So, independence and indifference. Right in the center of these two things is the Sufi heart. You, the awakened being of you, that's always there. No matter, you get sucked into, you lose your independence and you get sucked into the drama of your life. But the Sufi heart is still there, beating. It doesn't go away. Breath is, again, another very good example of that, because no matter what, unless you end up dead at the end, breath keeps coming. You can come back from some terrible disaster and you're there, obviously, 100%, without any doubt, your breath kept going through that whole thing, whatever it was. You can come back from joy where you were just lost in bliss of existence. You come back, your breath had continued going through the whole thing. So breath is like the perfect metaphor of this awakened heart, because it's the awakened you that comes to remember the breath. And it's the awakened you that's there as the breath goes by itself as well. So Hazrat Inayat Khan used male pronouns all the time. And that's why I said the Sufi, he can fly, awakened with his awakened wings. What are we going to do about that? Well, we can be independent of it and we can be indifferent to it. Or we can be all upset by it. The thing is that being upset by it doesn't change it. Being indifferent to it and independent of it then gives us this self-mastery, this place where we're able to actually examine this situation and do something about it, and actually communicate effectively with other people about what we're going to do about it. One of my big takes on how we be better human beings is by studying native wisdom and native societies. And the biggest thing that you'll notice from, let's call it people a long time ago, way, way back, people before civilization came, one thing that we're always told about that sort of a world was that there was not hierarchy. Nobody was better than anybody else. People could do things better. Like I read, one of the native wisdom speakers that I read was talking about a shaman. And we kind of tend to go, oh, shaman, he's a shaman, she's a priestess, and like this is a wonderful thing. Back in a native society, a shaman would be simply someone who did herbs well, who had a particular skill. They wouldn't be put up on a pedestal any more than the person who tanned hides well, or the person who was really good at making arrowheads, or a person who could make beads. It's like all these different skills. None of them were seen as more special than any others. One of the things that I think is most important that's being brought to us from these native wisdom keepers is that native societies consciously avoided hierarchy, because as soon as you get into hierarchy, madness in human beings starts. Because without any hierarchy, there's no competition. As soon as you have competition and ownership, and the problem with ownership is that someone who's really good at grasping and keeping things, it creates a momentum of itself, and someone can like get more and more and more stuff and hold people down and hold people down and hold people down. So back to our male pronoun. I think, this is me, that there is a way deeper problem in Sufism than just simply male pronouns. I mean, you go on a scale of 1 to 100. Using a male program is way down at 2. Hierarchy is way up at 100, because hierarchy is the thing that causes the issue with the male pronoun. If it wasn't for the hierarchy, we would care less about what pronoun we use. As a matter of fact, in our language, English language, he, mankind, kind of means all of us. She is divisive. That pretty much means just women. But a male word can include everyone. Like, for instance, a harbor master, a person who manages a harbor, will be called a harbor master. I read one story about a woman who was a harbor master, and she said, "Don't you ever call me a harbor mistress." I get her point. That sounds terrible. So he can include all of us. Human being, that's all of us. History, we want to change it to her story. History, that includes all of us. We don't have to exclude men in order to bring women up. What we have to do is get rid of the hierarchy. Sufism, the way it is today, is just stinking with hierarchy. But now we go around and around and around again. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There is a reason why the hierarchy is so deeply embedded in Sufism. One is the culture just keeps down women. That's bad, needs to be overcome. 2 is the fact that the transmission of Enlightenment traditions needs to go from awakened person to awakened person to awakened person. And the reason for this is because unawakened people are so easily fooled. And so if you don't have this lineage of awakened people, one guy will have a student, and he'll see that student come awake, and then he'll bring that student up into the hierarchy, and eventually that person could even be the lineage carrier of the Sufi tradition. So it's really the only person who can tell if another person is awake is an awake person. An unawake person can't tell. They'll always get fooled by the beautiful, someone who's teaching love, someone who's teaching happiness. Back to our Sufi heart. Who would you be more attracted to at the very beginning of your spiritual journey? Would you be attracted to somebody who was teaching independence and indifference? Or would you be attracted to someone who's teaching beauty and happiness? You're going to be attracted to the beauty and the happiness because we want that. I want that. You want that. But the actual awakened person knows that we have to get through the thing that's fooling us, which is our nafs and our ego, in order to live life from an awakened state. So up until now, at least, I don't know what's going to happen next. We've had to have this lineage. Now, one of the problems is that there are so many places where the lineage is broken. And you have unenlightened people, people who aren't masters, bringing other people who aren't masters up into the Sufi lineage. And so when Sufism loses its self-mastery, then what comes up is just the dominance of the hierarchy itself. And hierarchy is so attractive to our wounded egos from both sides, from trying to get up the hierarchy to being the slave to the hierarchy, especially since Sufism has such beautiful teachings about surrender. We get confused, and instead of surrendering to this Sufi heart, surrendering to this state of independence and indifference, we surrender to some beautiful narcissist who fools us. So the he pronoun, such a small problem, small, tiny problem. It's so small, so unimportant that we cannot fix the overall hierarchy problem just by paying attention to pronouns. It's not going to work. So it's just not a battle that's worth battling. On the other hand, we have teachers like Hazrat Inayat Khan, who deserves respect. He passed away a long time ago, and so everything that he's written reflects the culture that he was in then. One could hope that he would have evolved along if he would have stayed alive another 100 years, which would have been pretty incredible, I guess. But he didn't. And so, as Sufis, we should have some respect for what he said and try to understand the meaning rather than pick away at the words of it. So the Sufi heart, the Sufi has a heart with wings that allows him to soar into the realms of mysticism and reality. And I want to bring back, again, one of my favorite sayings from Hazrat Inayat Khan, where he was giving the reasons why he was forming his Sufi order: to create a world, humans, where mysticism is no longer a mystery. We use our Sufi heart, independence, and indifference to rise us above the things that are happening to us in our lives.